I'm back in the IDP camp this morning. We're going to go back and visit Aisha again, the girl that we saw the other day. And so here we go.
This is the Hot Zone. Engaging with the news in a whole new way, international war correspondent Chuck Holton brings insight into areas of crisis and lets you help those affected.
Good morning. How are you? You're very beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm back in the IDP camp this morning, and it's been raining all night long. And you know, the polyethylene that's on the tops of these shacks here really gets leaky very quickly, and so it's hard to really convey through the camera just how miserable the living conditions here truly could be or are because of this mud and this rain. And when you've got no money to eat, putting a new roof on your house is kind of somewhere pretty far down the list. Hello.
Yeah.
Collecting rainwater. Okay, we're back in Aisha Walla's home here, and I just wanted to show you what it's really like living in this camp, because it's been raining all night long. The water is coming in. Does the water get in your bed? Do you get wet when you sleep?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I see? This is your children. Yeah. I don't want to step in there because it's wet and her children sleep on the floor. But you can see there, I can see looking right now that the mattress is wet where the water is dripping in from the rain. Of course, it's incredibly loud because of they do have some tin on the roof, but very, very loud when it rains. That'll be very hard to sleep. And of course, their three children sleep on the floor here on a little mat. So the right thing to do in this situation is not to criticize, but to care. So we're here in Aisha's home, and some of our podcast listeners, Austin and Colin Beecham, a couple of young men, collected some money and sent it to help Aisha and her family so that they can have food to eat, so that they can have the things that they need. And this is the right answer. We're family. We're all in this together. And it's only when we step up and help the people that God puts in front of us that we really fulfill our mandate to take care to love God. I mean, this is how we show we love God, by loving the people that He loves. So, can you tell her that there were two boys in the United States who saw her picture that I put on the internet, and they wanted to help her, so they sent money for her family to help her family.
Okay. Wai akwai wasu yara ne da suka ga hoto wanda sun ɗauka ranar, so sun ɗan tura wani abu saboda su ko? Yawa, sun ɗan tura wani abu saboda ya taimaka muku. Da sun tura zuwa garin su ne can.
And so I went and I'm delivering this for them. Okay, this is for you, and we pray that God will multiply it for you and for your children and for your baby, for your new baby. So may God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Can you say thank you to Colin?
Ce musu kin gode wai.
Na gode da abin da an bani an taimaka mana da ƴaƴana. Na gode, Allah ya saka musu.
Okay, she says she's thankful for what you have done to her. May God bless the person that sent this money to her.
She said, did you hear that? She said she's thankful for what you've done, Austin and Colin, and she prays that God will bless you for what you've done.
Yeah.
So this is what we do here. We don't just make the news. We don't just tell the news. We make the news better for people when we can, for the people that God puts in front of us. God bless you, Aisha.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So when I posted the picture of Aisha and her children a few days ago, I got some criticism, I guess. Not me, but some people that saw that picture criticized Aisha for having children. They said, how could she, doesn't she know better? I mean, can't she get some birth control? Or why would she bring more children into this situation? And I just want to address that a little bit, because I think that it just reflects maybe a lack of understanding of her true situation here. So first of all, yeah, we can concede the point that there's probably some ignorance involved in that, not that they don't know what causes babies, but that perhaps they wouldn't know the right way to abstain, because they don't get much in the way of education when it comes to especially anatomy and physiology and those kind of basics and things like that. So, the rhythm method and all that kind of stuff that we hear about in the United States, not so much a thing. As far as birth control goes over here, in her culture, it's taboo, even if it were available. And there are prophylactics available in the little shops I've seen out here in the streets, but asking a woman who literally cannot afford to feed her family to spend what little money she has on prophylactics is kind of ignorant in and of itself. Not only that, but as I said, in her culture, children are considered to be a blessing, and I agree with that. They have a saying here that it's God who provides for the children, and I think truer words have never been spoken. And so some people have said, well, but why doesn't she just simply abstain then? Because it's just irresponsible to try to bring children into this, or to continue to bring children into this kind of a situation. Well, let me just turn that back around. How about, let's say that somebody told you that you should just forego any intimacy with your spouse until you have enough money saved up to pay for their college. Not only is that not reasonable, it's downright disrespectful. It shows, again, a real ignorance as to the way that things actually work. I recall when I was in Djibouti one time, out in East Africa, and I met a beggar woman on the street, and she had kind of a 4-year-old son and a nursing baby on her breast, and a 7-year-old running around in the streets in Djibouti. And she came up and asked for some money, and I got talking to her through the translator and asked her where she came from. She said that she had walked for something like 27 days across the desert to get to the city. Now, that city in Djibouti is not really the place you would want to go for more opportunity. I mean, there were beggars everywhere. There's no tourism there. Beggars all over the place. And I asked her, well, how much money can you make in a day begging in a place like this? And she said, sometimes I can make maybe 15 cents a day begging. 15 cents a day. And with what little money she got, she would buy whatever she could on the street, food-wise, to feed to her children. And obviously they were all malnourished. She was malnourished. They were sleeping on the street. Horrible situation. And I said, why did you leave your village? And she said that there was a famine, that they were farming, and they just literally could not grow enough food out there to feed their families. And so she said, we were dying. We were literally dying. So I said, well, where's your husband? And she said, well, my husband stayed on the farm so that nobody would come and steal our land. And we left and came out here. And I said, would you like to go back there? Would you like to go back to your husband? And she said, she kind of got this pained look on her face, and she shook her head and she said, no, I don't want to go back. And I said, oh, is he not a good man? Like maybe he's abusive or whatever. And then she brightened and she said, no. She said, I love him. I would love to go back there and be with him, except if I do, I know I'll get pregnant again, and I can't take any more babies. And, imagine the difficulty, imagine the suffering of, it's something that we really can't imagine. If you live in the United States, you can't imagine what these people are going through. You can't imagine their lives. Imagine not being able to be with your spouse, not wanting to go back and spend time with your spouse or be intimate with your spouse, because you know that it'll just lead to more children and there's nothing you can do about feeding them. That's horrible. That's horrible. And so to criticize any of these people for having babies, first of all, children are a blessing from the Lord. They're a miracle. And this is some of the only miracles. And these people love their children just like you and I love our children. They do. And they sacrifice what little they have for their children. They do everything they can. But they're born into a situation that you and I can't even fathom. And so it's really as ignorant on our part to criticize them, or every bit as ignorant on our part to criticize them for bringing children into this world, for continuing to engage in the only real pleasurable thing that they have to do out here, the only real intimacy that they're allowed. And here I am sitting in this camp, surrounded by mud and leaky tarps on these houses that these people live in, and you're going to criticize them for loving their spouses? Abortion's illegal here, and that's a fantastic thing. That's a great thing, because the people value their children here. And you say, yeah, but they should wait till they get more money. Well, how much is enough? How much do you need before you can start having kids? Think about that. How much do you need? I think that it's, in some ways, these people are wealthier than most Americans. If you think about it, they have no taxes to pay. They have no bills to pay. They don't have a mortgage. They don't borrow money here, right? What would your neighborhood look like if you couldn't borrow money, if nobody could borrow money, and you had to just build your home with cash, with whatever you could make? I know a lot of people in America, their houses would probably look a lot like this. And we have the gall to criticize these people for anything? They have loving, intact families. How many Americans can say that? These people have no debt. How many Americans can say that? And these people don't have very much stuff in the way to get between them and their understanding of who God is. And their reliance on God is total, because it has to be. We have so much stuff between us and God that we miss out on knowing Him a lot, because we substitute. We have so many things that we can substitute for Him. So just some things to think about. Obviously, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh with our listeners or the people that would put those critical comments, because I can't expect you to understand what these people's lives are like, except for what I can show you here. And that's why I wanted to come back out here and do this. I wanted to give you a better sense of what their lives are like. And the right answer when we see people in these situations is not to be critical. It's to do what we can to help. That's what we were put here to do. If you woke up this morning, and you were born through no merit of your own in one of the wealthiest places on earth, and You got a roof over your head, you got a car in your driveway, you got food on your table, you're wealthier than the vast majority of the people on this planet. And that wealth comes with a responsibility. And I think we all could take a lesson. We could think a little harder about that, about what our responsibilities truly are to the people who are needy around the world. So that's my rant for today. There's your sermon. Thanks for watching. I'm Chuck Holton, and this has been The Hot Zone.
The Hot Zone is produced by Amy Holton and Livefire Media. Copyright 2019.